Today we're going to be doing intermediate. I'm going to show you traditional grip and I'm going to show you bend. This is Clayton Skinner. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Beat. Hello, my name is Clayton Skinner. In this episode of Beyond the Beat, I'm going to teach you how to open up your hi-hats between the eighth notes. So what do I mean by opening them up between the eighth notes? Well, it's pretty self-explanatory. You're going to open the hi-hat up and you're going to hit them between the eighth notes. If you watched the last video I did regarding opening your hi-hats, I did them on the eighth note. And they're all eighth note grooves. So as you're playing along, 1 and 2 and 3, you'll open them up on the eighth note and close them on the following eighth note. In this one, you're going to actually be opening them up between. So for instance, if you're counting along 1, 2, 1 and 2 and, you'll be adding like an E and an A. You'll be playing a 16th note and you'll be opening it on that 16th note. 1 and 2 and A 3 and 4 and A 1 and 2 E and, so on and so forth. It's pretty simple, so yeah. So there is a trick to this. When you're opening them up between the eighths, you'll be playing like say 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and, just as an example. A little trick that you can use is when you close the hi-hat, on the note that you're supposed to close the hi-hat, you can actually not hit it with your hand and use the closing of it, like the sound, as that actual note. Rather than having to bring your hand down really quickly to hit the hi-hat again as it's closing. So you can kind of use that. That's a little trick that I use. You don't have to do it like that. You can actually hit the hi-hat again when it's closing. It's up to you, but I use it. I use the actual closing itself as the note, so you're not using as much energy, and you don't have to, bring your hand back down really quickly. So just to recap that, as you're opening it up, 1 and 2 E, you'd be hitting the hi-hat. You could actually, and would be the hi-hat closing. It would give you that note, and then you can just carry on, so forth. So you can use that if you want. It's really easy. It helps. Let's see. So just like the last video, I've actually created positions. These positions, I have, in this PDF I have 4. So technically there's actually 8 because you could take the positions from, all these positions are on the second half of the bar. So everything is from 3 on. You can actually take that and put them at the beginning of it so that's actually 1 on, or like between 1 and 2 and. It just makes it easier that way. That way it's only 4 positions and I don't have to go through 8 different positions with you. I decided to make them all in the second half of the bar because then you can kind of get a chance to, get some momentum, get some warm-up going, and then do it. But anyway, yeah. So technically there are 8 positions, but I'm going to say that there's only 4. Alright, so position 1, it's going to be opening on the E of 3. So it's pretty simple. The first exercise is just a bass drum on 1. There's a 16th note, or 2 16th notes on 3E, and the E is when you're going to be opening it, and then there's just a snare drum on 2 and 4. Now the second exercise, exercise 2, you have the bass drum on 1, the and of 2, and then the and of 3. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be actually opening the hi-hat while hitting the snare. And then the snare is going to be on 2 and 4 as well. But there's going to be a hi-hat on the E of 3 to, there's going to be a snare hit on the E of 3 as you're opening your hi-hat. So this is position 1. Listen to the demonstration, follow along on the PDF, and see how you do. Okay, so now we're on position 2. Position 2, we're opening the hi-hat on the Av3. The first exercise in position 2 is just a simple 1 and 3 bass drum with the snare drum on 2 and 4. The second exercise has bass drum on 1 and 3, but then on the end of 3, in the Av3, we're going to be playing 2 bass drum hits and the trick to this exercise is that you're actually going to be closing the hi-hat when you hit your snare drum. So this is a good one to practice the not hitting. Like if you're choosing to not hit the hi-hat when it closes, this is a good one for that because it's a little bit easier because then you don't have to ram both of your hands down at the same time to complete that hit. So yeah, take that into consideration. Listen to the demonstration and check it out. Position 3, you will be opening the hi-hat on the E of 4. So it'll be right after the backbeat, it'll be right after that snare hit. So yeah, the first exercise is just a simple one. The second exercise, pretty simple as well. There's the bass drum goes 1, 2, and 3, and then directly after the snare hit on 4, you're going to hit a 16th note bass as you're opening it up. Psst, bass drum hit, open it up, close it. It's pretty easy. So check out the demonstration and see how you do. Position 4, the hi-hat opens up on the Av4, right at the end. So it'll kind of lead into the next bar. You'll actually be closing it on the 1 of the next bar. This one's pretty easy. Exercise 7 has just the bass drum on 1 and 3, snare drum on 2 and 4. They're all easy, first exercises. Second exercise has the bass drum on 1, the 3, the end of 3, and then there's going to be a 16th note bass drum hit on the Av4 leading into 1 again. So it'll be that grouping of 16th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 as you're opening it up. You'll also be closing it when the bass drum hits in the next bar as well on 1. So that might make it a little bit easier for you. So yeah, again, like I always say, follow along on the PDF and listen to how I play it, and then do it yourself, and you should be okay. So when you're practicing with these, make sure that you use a metronome. It's very important that you use a metronome with this. You'll even notice that I had headphones on because I was listening to a metronome while I was playing this. I wanted to make sure that when I demonstrated these to you, I actually demonstrated these to you in proper time. It's important. With these exercises, it's very easy to lose that tempo, to lose that rhythm. You want to make sure that everything stays consistent. And when you're adding that quick little subdivision in there, while opening up your hi-hat, you're losing balance. You can actually lose your rhythm as well. And trust me, it's very noticeable to other people. It's not really noticeable to you because you're the one keeping time. You know, everything works in your head. But it's not to other people. So you want to make sure that when you practice this, you use a metronome. It might actually help to set the metronome to the 8th note so that every time you hit the hi-hat, the metronome is clicking. so that way you know when you open the hi-hat between that eighth note, you can close it. If you land on the click, then you're good. So, yeah, take my advice, trust me. That's all for this episode. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you get a hold of me through the contact section at claytonskinner.com, or you can just contact me right here on YouTube. Either way, I hope to hear from you. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.